Call the September 9th Board of Commissioners work session to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Deanna, can you do a roll call?
Catherine Carter, President.
Here.
Rebecca Moody, Vice President.
Here.
Denise Hall, Commissioner.
Here.
Gregory Mull, Commissioner.
Here.
Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Here.
Megan Weaver, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Nicole Fight, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Nicholas Cross, Township Engineer.
Here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police.
Here.
Brian Shapiro, Finance Director.
Here.
David Conroy, Zoning Officer.
Here.
And it is noted that Commissioner Liz McNaney is absent.
Thank you. For executive session.
Yes, the board did meet in executive session on September 2nd and also prior to this evening's meeting to discuss real estate matters.
Thank you. At this time, we have one person signed up for public. Mr. Wallace, come. Please make sure the light is bright green.
Yes, it is. I got it. Good evening. Thank you. I come for two reasons. One, I want to give a shout out to Megan for helping me and our neighborhood association. We're trying to get I want the whole commission to know that we're trying to get a street light at the corner of Girard Avenue. I'm at Dan Wallace, 848 Girard Avenue, and Stony Creek. There's a walkway there. In the past few years, there's been a lot more children in the neighborhood, a lot of dog walkers and everything. So I know it's moving ahead slowly but surely, and just wanted the commission to know that we appreciate that and hope you can get it in this year. Okay? The second thing is I'm going to speak on something on the agenda, the one item 21 about the purchase agreement for the church. And I'm going to speak against it. I like to just say that my wife and I have discussed this before, and besides the actual, I've been a commercial real estate broker and developer for 35 years, and I know the cost of building and renovating buildings. Your initial acquisition could be, substantial, but the renovations could be even more substantial in the operating costs. And I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that long-term commitment. I don't really think we need it, but if you are going to go ahead with it, I want to make sure that you're aware that it's something that my wife and I, a few other residents in my neighborhood, don't think it's necessary. There's other things like streetlights and like roads and sewer that could be put to. So I just wanted to make sure that on the record that we're against it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back to our work session format, so I get to do a lot of talking. So the first thing, the next item on the agenda is the public hearing regarding taxation. And if you just read the top, you might think we're repealing the volunteer service tax credit, but I just want to be clear. We have to repeal the section of our ordinance that contemplates the credit in order to replace it with a new stipend program. So because our code discusses in depth the program as it stands, we'll be repealing that section and then moving on to a volunteer stipend program, which provides for volunteers at our fire department, North Penn Fire Department, as well as the VMSC, whether or not they reside in the township. It will be based on them being qualified volunteers. And qualified volunteers is a system that we set up with the chiefs. They have to meet a certain amount of points. This is due to the fact that in these days with the volunteer fire service, back in the good old days, there used to just be, neighbors that lived in Upper Gwynedd that were staffing the firehouse, 100 years ago. Now, as the volunteer service has changed, volunteers could live anywhere. They could live 10, 20 minutes away. They might not, we have a actually very young fire department, which is wonderful, but they may not own property yet. So a real estate tax credit is not valuable to them. So the new stipend program would allow for a $500 stipend to any qualifying volunteer, regardless of if they own property, and wouldn't require them to go through a sort of lengthy process with Berkheimer to get the EIT credit. Are there any questions from the board or the public?
I have a question. This is something that the fire department is on board with?
Oh, yeah, they are very on board. It gives them more flexibility in recruitment and, just make sure that all qualified members get paid regardless. Not paid, not like an employee, but a stipend regardless of where they live or if they own property.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, great. Moving on to my environmental improvements in the township presentation for my manager's report. Recently, we went through the exercise internally as staff, just looking at what we've done from 2020 to today, which, first of all, I can't believe it's been 5 years since 2020. That kind of blows my mind. But Megan, can you do the next page, please? Oh, I have the clicker. Thanks. Boom. Love it. So the first step, I think, was the board took an amazing step to create an environmental advisory council, and that has led to some amazing projects. The voluntary single-use plastics program, which also included a presentation to the public about single-use plastics and how they use them. We have the annual tree giveaway, which I know is really loved by the people that attend it. They've done tree plantings and stream cleanups, and just overall have really contributed to our environmental success in the township. They have a lot of goals still for the future years. Bird Town is a goal and a few others. They've done a great job, and this is just like a quick snippet of some of the things they've done. And as we were reviewing that, we realized, gosh, across many departments, we've done some really cool projects that are very environmentally positive. So those projects include the Wissahickon Trails Stream Bank restoration, the Haynes Run Stream Bank restoration, the installation of meadows versus mowing on our Hartley Drive area, and we did a tree planting there as well. The removal of invasive bamboo on 2 township-owned parcels. We're still continuing to work on that, looking towards budget for next year. Increased investment in our sewer department, identifying inflow and infiltration. These projects alone, which I left out a good number of sewer projects, represent an investment of the township of over $3 million. The Haynes Run, Hartley Drive, and Wissahickon Trails projects included numerous funding partners, and grant funding for all these projects totals $2.038 million. So pretty impressive, I think. Just wanted to show some pictures. This is the native plant giveaway, and I just have to highlight the line. Like, people were lined up for quite a while before we opened, even with the native plant giveaway. Additionally, in the wastewater treatment plant, we've made many changes, even just in the last year, to increase our environmental stewardship, including revising our PLCs. Those are the controls to allow for less use of electricity. We've increased screens and grits, which processes less items going to the landfills. We've upgraded our control system to allow for more precise chemical loading that relates to the TSS removal, as well as continuously making changes to our operations regarding sludge, which we pay a good amount to truck to another location, just constantly trying to thicken that sludge and send less away, as well as LED features throughout the plant and their operations. And I left out, I don't know how I did, Megan's awesome project of LED streetlights throughout the township. So it was just sort of one of those things that in staff meeting when we were talking about it, I thought, well, we should probably share all of these great achievements. And that's what I've done. Are there any questions about that? Okay, wonderful. Moving on, Dave, you are up to bat.
Evening, everyone. Couple things from planning and zoning. We really only have one active land development under review right now, and that's the 1500 Pembroke Parkway application. We've worked through some issues, specifically landscaping over the last several months. We just have some outstanding sewer issues we're trying to work through before it goes before this board for a vote. So probably another couple months, I'm thinking. And we have one zoning hearing board application scheduled for this month for 2100 Pembroke Parkway. I guess the property has a future tenant that could be coming in there, and they want to build roughly a 76,000 square foot warehouse research facility. With that, they want to put in a 3-story, or they would like to put in a 3-story parking deck, obviously for parking. But with all those improvements, they would need a parking variance. They would be required roughly over 1,000 parking spaces. They're asking for about 719 parking spaces, so a variance would be required. And that's scheduled for the zoning hearing board meeting this month on the 24th. That's all I really got. Thanks.
Nick, you're up next. Fred, that's okay. I was not looking up. I'm so sorry. Please come up to the microphone. No, it's okay.
Thank you. Fred Hankin, 802 Clover Drive. This Pembroke Parkway project seems like it's been in a lull for many months because of sewer, I believe, and some landscaping things. And the comment I just heard was it'll be a couple more months. It just seems a little convenient that we're having an election soon and this hasn't been brought up in front of the board. Maybe it's just me being me, but it seems a little convenient that it may not come before the board until after the election. Just a public comment. Just seems very convenient that this is going on and on and on without any resolution.
Fred, I want to respond and give you a little more detail about the sewer so
That'd be great,
to,
thanks.
to ease your concerns on that. So the developer's proposal for their sewer connection it's a little complex. There's an HOA that sort of a commercial HOA that handles that complex currently that has a private sewer pump station. So typically when we require connections to pump stations, they're public. Like we have about 10 pump stations throughout the township. In this case, the township is requiring that they get feedback from DEP before we move forward with putting it before the board because it's an irregular request. And so they've submitted their planning module. Sorry, I was flaking on the name of that. And it's under review by our sewer engineers. So it's still being reviewed back and forth. And it's very common with land developments to have that review process with the engineers. You know, Nick reviews or Alex, our sewer engineer. They go back and forth a few times until they get it right. That's the same thing that happened with the landscape ordinance. There were 2 items that were sort of in flux, the landscape and the sewer, and we're just still working through it. Well, we did say sewer. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Were there any other questions? Okay, Nick, would you like to get started?
Be happy to. So just a couple of updates here. So for the 2025 road program, all of the concrete flat work's been completed. The paving and the Rexdale development's been completed, and the Church Road paving will begin next week. That work's going to take place during the night time, just so that there aren't as many disruptions to natural traffic throughout the day, since it's such a busy road. So we anticipate that work to be completed by next week, and then the striping to take place probably the week after.
Nick, I don't want to interrupt you, but could you share with the board the plan we have for trying to lessen the impact on the residents for that overnight work?
Yeah. So what we're planning on doing, because Church Road's such a long road, it's going to take 2 days to mill the entire thing. And obviously, since they're doing it at night, originally the plan was that they were going to go down and mill halfway down the road and then come back halfway for the first night and then do the second half the next day. But because the residential development is right there at that first half, rather than them being out there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning and disrupting the entire night for them, they're going to pave the right side of the road all the way down the first night. So they're only going to be in front of the residential development from 7 p.m. to 12. And then the next night, they're going to come back and do the other side of the road from 7 to 12, so that at 2 a.m., they don't have the milling machines out front of their houses ripping up the concrete or the asphalt. And then for the paving, unfortunately, you do have to stage it in the same way as the other way. So They are going to be out there from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. On Thursday night, but then on Friday night, anticipated they won't be anywhere near the residential development. So we were just trying to minimize as much disruption as possible for the residents in the area. So technically, there will be 3 nights where they're going to be some disturbance outside of their house, but we tried to keep it as minimized from 12 to 5 as we possibly could when people are most likely going to be sleeping. So,
And I know our Public Works Department will be notifying residents of that.
Mhm.
We just got the schedule from the contractor, so now that we have it, we'll let the residents know.
and they'll be putting door hangers out, the contractor, prior to the, should be before the weekend as well. So that's the plan for the road program. And then just a, PSA for back to school. I usually give it every year. Just making sure that as the school year begins, people should be, being as careful as they can around school zones in the morning and in the afternoon. And especially, the crossing guards in this area and all areas, they volunteer their time. Make sure that you're following the rules of the road with them. They're trying to protect the kids at all costs. So just make sure you're being as safe as you can when you're in the school zones. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Nick. Any questions? Okay. Moving along to the Finance, Personnel, and Administration section, items 14 and 15 will be included for the consent agenda. And item 16 is the MMO for the police and non-uniform pension plans. So I'm just opening my memo, one moment. The MMO is expected to increase for the police pension plan from 2025 to 2026 by about $90K, and for the non-uniform pension plan by about $17,250. That would take our combined township MMO obligation to $1,128,732, representing a total year-over-year increase of $107,000. This is primarily attributable to actuarial adjustments and the rising wage levels in the police pension plan. Both obligations will be partially offset by our state aid, which will be detailed in the budget process. Are there any questions? Okay, great. We have item 17 is an item that we'll be looking for approval next month. Brian, did you want to talk to this, or you're good? I am. Okay, good. I just forgot to ask Brian about that before we started the meeting. So I am very excited to be presenting this fund balance policy to the board in collaboration with my awesome finance director. So it's the GFOA is the Government Finance Officers Association, and they put in place many of the regulations and recommendations that we follow regarding like smart budgeting and in some cases required ways that we operate. So the GFOA recommends that governments maintain an unrestricted fund balance equivalent to no less than 2 months of regular operating revenues, which is about 16 to 17%. Brian has reviewed our township's financial needs and risks with me, which include revenue timing, capital infrastructure obligations, economic uncertainty, emergency preparedness. And we recommend, instead of hitting that 16 to 17% range, a range of closer to 30% for Upper Gwynedd. So for our 2025 general fund balance, which our expenditures are around 13 million, this equates to a minimum unassigned fund balance of $3.9 million. That reserve is there to provide for sufficient cash flow. As most people know, we get most of our revenues in after people have paid their tax bills beginning of the second quarter of the year. They protect against having this like nest egg there will help protect against volatility and economic downturns and ensures essential services during emergencies. It also helps support favorable credit ratings and reduce borrowing costs. Our unassigned fund balance right now is 12 million and some change. And the reason we're looking to make this change is we should be maintaining money in that rainy day account that accounts for those items that I just mentioned. But we should be using the remainder of the money in that account to pay for capital infrastructure. It's money we've brought in from the taxpayers that we want to return to the taxpayers through capital expenditures. So we would recommend a transfer during this, like if it was 2025 of $8.1 million to the capital reserve fund to align with the policy requirements and ensure excess funds are dedicated to future capital needs, which if anyone's familiar with my budget presentation would remember, we have about $25 million of capital needs in the next 5 years anticipated. So the purpose of this fund policy to set it via resolution is to establish a policy that's set by the board that governs staff and let us know we're going to keep this amount as a nest egg. The rest we'll use for projects. Any questions?
I'm not sure how to say that. Oh, go ahead, Denise. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not sure how to say this question correctly, but what's the reason, and forgive me if you've already said it and I just misunderstood, that we're suggesting so much higher of a percentage versus what the GFOA recommends?
Great question. Really, honestly, we have one major tax source with Merck in the township that provides a lot of our funding. And so I think we have an additional risk over a regular municipality that doesn't have a wonderful industrial user in the center of their township, because like if you're just a bedroom community, there's less chance of volatility. And this is not a statement at all about what's going on with Merck. Merck continues to invest in the township, in their site here, and is a wonderful community partner. But we just have that additional potential volatility that we can't control. So we think we should be saving a little more than the average township for a rainy day event. And this I really want to reiterate, this has nothing to do with Merck. It only has to do with us wanting to have a tighter financial policy.
So this is the first time we're ever doing this, correct?
Correct.
In the past, we would just let the money, we would use it like a savings account and just let all the extra money we had stay in the reserves.
I think in the past, like if you mean before I was manager,
Yeah, before our
they
time.
would transfer to the capital fund as needed to fund their expenditures. But until about, I think it was 4 years ago, we didn't even have a capital plan.
Right.
So now we have that was like step one, make a set 5-year outlook on our capital expenditures. Step two, refine the fund balance policy.
And does that mean then that all the money then will immediately be spent in capital? Like it needs to
No,
be spent
that
into
does not.
2025?
No, as I mentioned, we only have about $8 million to transfer to the capital fund, and we have $25 million of identified projects in the 5-year plan.
Identified being key.
Yeah, and in any given year, we don't spend $8 million or $25 million on capital funding. I'll finish my thought, and you can join me up here. But additionally, if we wanted to do like all that $25 million worth of capital projects at once, I would not recommend using cash that we have in the bank to do it. I would recommend a bond issue or some sort of bank loan. So we would be using the money we transferred to the capital fund to help offset the debt service or something in that scenario. Brian, what would you like to add?
To further build on what Sandra was saying is, when Sandra was describing the resolution or the policy, she kept on using the term unassigned fund balance. When you adopt this resolution and policy, what will happen is you're going to be transferring $8 million and such from the general fund unassigned and restricting it or committing it to future capital projects, which then tightens the availability of that money. So a further board, yes, it's a resolution, they could come and change it, but it then restricts it and has a defined purpose on what that money can be used, hence capital projects. It's just not in unassigned category, just free for all, if you want to, lack of a better term.
I mean, what would we do with surplus if we didn't use it for capital funds?
Yeah, typically it would
You
just
just save it, but there's not another category that I'm not.
Or there's another option. I would not recommend that given our $25 million capital plan, but yeah.
But this just provides a better roadmap and a guide to where the sources of your funds can be utilized.
Okay.
At any time it's a resolution, you can say, all right, for some reason, just say we had an economic downturn and you needed to put more money back into the general fund.
The general fund, yeah.
You could, redo this resolution and say, all right, we want to unrestrict some of that money in the capital fund and bring it back to the general fund.
Okay, that's good to know too.
Yeah, nothing's permanent. It's mainly just a policy decision to guide us as we move through the budget process and as we move through planning for those capital expenditures. And one last point I wanted to make, Denise, on the question of like, does this mean we're going to spend all of this money? We try really hard to consider fairness in taxation. So that 12 million that added up in there was from past taxpayers. And we try really hard not to spend all of the money from the past on a project for this year. And if we have a project that's going to have like a 30, 50, or 100-year lifespan, we like to spread that cost out for the taxpayers as well. So that's why municipalities take bonds and bank loans. For example, with the WIP project, we have a loan that we're paying for, I think it's 20 years. So we're spreading that payment over 20 years of taxpayers instead of just 1 year. This sort of helps us plan for that.
Thank you.
Again, it's just something we as staff are recommending to the board. It's perfectly, if you don't want to do it, not a problem at all. It is at the board's pleasure. Any other questions? Okay. Brian, is the fund balance policy required for the amazing awards that I'd like to win in the future? Sorry to make you come back up after you left. Get your steps in.
Yes, if we want to apply for the
Triple
budget
Crown.
award, the PAFR, it's not required for the ACFR. All these terms, real fast, I'll take a step back. In the GFOA professional organization, there's 3 major awards that they recommend. It usually starts with the ACFR, Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. It's taking the audit that we currently do and enhancing it, provide more data to the public, more stats, just a lot of extra detail for the audit process. So if someone to pick up the audit, someone could, read it back and have more detail on with the numbers instead of just getting a stack of numbers. So that's the first one, which this wouldn't be required for, but it helps guide it as a policy document. The second one after the ACFR is called the PAFR, Popular Annual Financial Report. I'll be blunt or candid. Most people who pick up the audit will probably go to sleep after page 3. It's just a bunch of numbers that unless you're have an accounting degree or you really pay attention to audits, you might not get followed. So what the PAFR does is take that audit and explains it, tells the story of the audit, what happened, just puts it into word form. It's about a probably 5 to 10 page document. It looks like a little newsletter pamphlet, but it just tells the story of the audit and what happened in that year. A part of the PAFR is, what are your policy documents? What is guiding you to make your decisions on how you budget and things like that? So the last document, which will slowly be incorporating into this year's budget process, is the Distinguished Budget Award. So those are the 3 big awards. And what the Distinguished Budget Award does is also tells the story of the budget. Instead of just picking up the budget and seeing 30 pages of line items, it talks about the township. It talks about what you want to do in the future. What is your strategic vision? Things like that. But that document requires policies. What policies does the township have? And one of the big one is a recommendation is a fund balance policy, which most municipalities do adopt. So to answer your question,
Thank you.
did that answer it?
That very clearly answered
All right,
it.
thank you.
Hopefully we didn't add more things for you guys to have questions about, but there will be more to come on all those fun awards in 2026. Right, Brian? Okay, great. I know. And what % of municipalities have all 3 of those awards? The Triple Crown, I'm repeating, so the crowd at home watching us can hear us. And I have aspirations to be the 3rd, Upper Gwynedd. We want to be number 3. Okay.
Oh, great. Montgomery Township's going to hate us even more.
They love us. All right. So the next item on the agenda is an approval of the stipulation to settle the Pembroke Station tax assessment appeal and authorize the township solicitor to execute all necessary documents. When it comes to tax assessment appeals, we are really the small person in this deal. The county and the school district definitely take precedent over us. But in this case, the property owner, Pembroke Station, located at Church Road, filed an assessment appeal for the tax year beginning in 2025. The impact for the township will be a repayment refund of an overpayment of $11,499. That is the action, and we will be looking for next week a motion to approve the stipulation to settle. Correct. But we don't really have much of a choice on it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the next 3 items are decision items. We actually have 5 decision items on the agenda tonight, which we try not to do, but as you'll see, they're time sensitive, and that's why we do it. So take it away, President Carter.
I'd like to make a motion to ratify the quote from Integral One for replacement equipment for the police department in the amount of $11,176. Can I have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments? Any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Number 20. I'd like to make a motion to ratify the quote, again from Integra One, for the multi-factor authentication for the police department in the amount of $10,264 and a yearly support fee of $398. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any board comments?
I have a question, Sandra. Are this and the previous one, were they part of the budget plan, or is this unexpected? I didn't see.
I think they're within the budget. Now I'm going to have to, Josh gets to participate in the meeting. He's not
Hey.
just running the meeting, he gets to participate. So Josh, can you help me answer this one?
Yeah, they were all factored into the budget last year. The costs went a bit higher than we were expecting, of course, with the tariffs and all that, but that was, it was all factored in. So.
Josh actually very
you.
carefully watched the prices on all of these items, and he was trying to like hedge his bets on when to pull the trigger on the purchase. And that's why we're asking for ratification. We wanted to get the best price we could given the current situation with pricing.
Thank you. Thanks, Josh.
Are there any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Number 21, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the addendum to the purchase agreement for 1908 West Point Pike and authorize the township manager to take all necessary steps to complete the acquisition. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you have any board comments?
Just my comment that, as I'm not a board member, our due diligence period will now expire on September 19th, and the settlement would be due by 10/31.
Any public comments?
Doesn't sound like.
Pardon me, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. So as and I've missed the last meeting, I apologize, but I was on vacation. Can you tell us if the property did appraise at the purchase price or above?
I can't share that information right now.
You could, I would think you could share whether it appraised or not versus, it doesn't matter what it appraised for, as long as it appraises at or above what the purchase price was, correct?
Well, according to our agreement, yes.
So, for example, I know my own business. I don't care what the appraisal is as long as it's at or above what the contract stipulates.
I'm going to defer to Nicole to see if I should answer. I mean, it's a real estate transaction that's under.
We would recommend not sharing that at this time.
Okay, so it's possible the property did not appraise. Is that correct? If you can't share that.
No, that's not correct. What's correct? It's not that there's not an issue with the appraisal. What we can't do is share real estate information publicly.
I can appreciate
So,
that.
yeah,
like I
it's
said.
not-
So I wasn't
It's
asking
not
something.
a like statement about how the appraisal's going or the due diligence or anything. It's that we're not publicly sharing it because we have an agreement not to publicly share those items until, like, we're required to share with the public once we make settlement.
It just seems odd to me that you couldn't say whether it appraised or not, because it doesn't matter if it appraised, as long as it appraises, otherwise.
So we will be able to say, we just can't say today. So you will learn the answer to this question at a future date.
Okay, and so we're using money in our capital account for this purchase, is that correct?
That's correct.
And one question I had a couple months ago, I didn't get an answer on, how much is in that account now, in the capital account? I know there's going to be a transfer, I just listened.
Well, that transfer is not accounted to like our current balance.
Understood.
I think the last time you answered it was 4 to 5 million. But we'll follow up with you and get that answer.
Yeah, because I guess my comment is that if we're spending this money on this center, are there other capital projects and maybe the money could be better spent on? One thing I'm looking at, for example, is a new fire station, right? I mean, is that part of that 25 million you're looking to spend? So we're going to have a shortfall of some type of money. Do you know where the rest of that money is going to come from to fund the capital improvements?
So I wouldn't say it's a shortfall because we would plan to do some borrowing, and the funding that is in the account or will be in the account would help pay it would be from debt service, but we would fund
Could be
it.
debt service and borrowings, okay. So you can't share the results of the inspections or anything like that, is that a correct statement? Okay, I'll keep an eye
I
out.
just want to remind you, we will be able to, we just can't right now.
I totally understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Those were the, oh wait, sorry. That was just a question. Action has not been taken.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Back to you.
Guess if I had waited for that, I would have. So Commissioner Moody, I don't have anything to review in your section. Commissioner Hull's section, we have an approval of the resolution for Fire Prevention Week. That's a pretty standard activity that we do, as well as we're looking for tonight a decision item. So Denise, I will turn it over to you on item 23. Or Catherine, whoever I usually turn it over to. I can't remember because it's our first work session in 3
We
months.
usually turn it over to the president to do
Okay,
that.
thank you, Denise.
This kind of a meeting. Oh, no, go ahead. You can do it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the MOU between the police department and the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Can I have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any board comments? I have a question.
Mhm.
I read it, but I didn't, like, why do you have to have it with them as opposed to a regular business?
Chief, are you able to speak on this one? Great, thank you.
So the intermediate unit is a publicly funded entity, and with that and any other schools that we provide service to, it's common practice to enter into an MOU of how things are handled, generally speaking. We still have latitude, we still have authority, but it does kind of delineate how certain things are supposed to be handled, and in a way protects both of us, both sides.
Okay. Any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Hall?
Thank you. I just had two public safety things that I wanted to share this evening. Our Upper Gwynedd Fire Department is having a trivia night, and the reason that they're having this trivia night is they have two members of their team, two families within their team who are struggling with breast cancer right now. And so they have come together like the fire department always does. They're definitely a family. And they are having a fundraiser in the form of a trivia night at the fire station. This is happening on October 11th. The doors open at 6. It begins at 6:30. It is $35 a person or $250 for a table of 8. The sign up is on Facebook, or if you go to their website, there's a link to Facebook. But this is definitely a great cause to support, and it's also a fun thing to do. So check that out. And then the other thing I wanted to make a shout out about is obviously our carnival was just this last weekend, and we're going to, Greg will have a very formal list of lots of people to thank regarding all of that. But I wanted to thank a specific person. Before I did that, I wanted to thank all of the staff, everyone at Upper Gwynedd Township. I wanted to thank the residents who battled the rain and didn't let it discourage them. But I want, the carnival is an all hands on deck event here. Everybody put so much into that event. Public Works, the finance department, the management, Park and Rec, the fire department, the police department, everybody does. It's all hands on deck. So of course, a huge thank you to everyone. And we'll have, like I said, a more formal thank you that's going to come out. But this year we had something unique and special that happened with our fire marshal, who is also our emergency management coordinator. His name is Connor McCain. And this year, he created something called an incident action plan. And so every year, there is always a lot of putting together of great minds to figure out how can we have the safest carnival? How can we anticipate what might happen so we can be the most prepared? But this year, we have now had a emergency management coordinator. He's been in that role for a few years. So now that we have someone who that is his specialty, he really let it fly this year. He came up with a huge plan that he has been working on for months, and it really was amazing. Luckily, we didn't have any great tragedy happen that would have come in handy for, but they had a dry run day where they practiced different scenarios. Everybody came together and did that prior to the carnival. They changed up the parking, they changed up lighting, they changed up the visibility of different departments, they changed so many different things up and came up with so many great new ideas that it was really amazing. It was amazing to see even more coming together of the township for this, because you would think that's not possible because everybody comes together in an incredible way for our carnival. But this just added another layer to that with the public safety in mind and everyone's safety in mind. So I just wanted to do a big shout out to him and a big thank you and a kudos to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to Sandra.
Yes,
You're gonna
thank
say
you.
Greg, but-
No, next time it'll be Greg. So we're in a couple items. Every year we advertise the snowplow and equipment bid. This is just for if there's blizzards, basically. We handle all of our snow plowing internally, but we prepare in case there's a terrible snow year and our employees are completely spent for an additional resources in that circumstance. So hopefully it doesn't happen, and we would be looking for the board to approve the advertisement for that. This year, we're also going to be asking for authorization to advertise for street sweeping. This has been something we've been doing in-house for the past few years, but unfortunately our street sweeper broke and is not in good shape. It is actually, I think we authorized sale of it to auction. It just never worked out over the past 5 years. Constant repairs, was sort of just a drag on our operations. And this year, we have been using an external vendor for the street sweeping, and we will continue to do that this year and possibly into next year. We will be writing a grant for a new street sweeper and hopefully purchasing that in 2026. But it exceeds the bid limit, so we will need approval to authorize a bid. Item 26 was mistakenly marked as a decision item on the agenda, so we actually don't need a decision for item 26. We will need a decision item for item 27. Item 26 is a motion to approve the quote for Armour & Sons for the installation of LED streetlights not to exceed $13,777. Megan, did you have anything you'd like to say about this item that you've worked so hard on? I didn't prepare you for that. Sorry.
No,
I
that's
love to
okay.
surprise you.
This is just a carryover from the previous LED streetlight upgrade that we did. The vendor that we worked with had made some suggestions in conjunction with our police department for areas that would have increased safety and visibility by having these streetlights added. So if you click on the memo, it will tell you the areas where those additional streetlights will be.
Thank you. And these predate Mr. Wallace's request. These are ones that we internally came up with the vendor and our internal staff. And this was budgeted for and actually is coming in slightly under budget. and we don't need a decision. I'm waiting for a decision that we don't need. You guys will be making a decision on that next week. With that, I will turn it back to you, Commissioner Carter, for decision on item 27.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement between PAR Recycle Works for electronic recycling services. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have any board comments? I have a question. Is that the mailbox in the parking lot?
Yes, that's the e-recycling container in our parking lot.
I have another question.
Sure.
The opening, is it possible to get a wider opening? Like, it's really hard to get stuff in that little opening.
I would
is. I
recommend
mean, if
against
anybody-
that, just
I had to
because
take the printer apart to get it in there.
Yeah.
the reason
Is there's a reason.
the reason why it is
We're not just
smaller,
trying to stump you all. Yeah.
is because they do not accept like monitors, larger items. We would be then required to pay a fee to dispose of those. It's smaller, that way it deters people from putting in those items that are not collected that would require the township to pay then to dispose.
But we do have another opportunity for our residents to recycle those larger items, correct, Megan?
Yes, are you talking about our annual e-recycling?
I
shredding?
am.
Okay.
Led you right into that one.
We do have it scheduled for, I believe it's May 9th, 2026. It's the same event that we do hold on an annual basis.
So if you have larger items, you just hold on to those for that date. Hopefully you can make it. Or I think the county might. have an
County
option.
does also have options too.
That was included in that.
Yeah.
Megan, question then,
Don't do that.
For the,
Catherine already did.
is there a current fee associated with it now that since we don't accept the larger items?
Do you mean the current recycling container? This agreement, there is no fee for them to pick up the e-recycling. The only way that we would be charged is if residents did dump those items. I will say that since 2023, when we did initially go with PAR Recycle Works, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues with residents putting in any of the items that are not accepted without a fee.
We have wonderful residents, Fred, that's why. But also, I don't want to give any ideas on how to dump, but we're very lucky. It's been a plague on municipalities and their parks and things like that over the past few years since TVs and larger electronics are hard to dispose of. But luckily, we have not suffered at Parkside Place.
And just to add, it is located in an area where there is camera footage
Yeah.
to be able to see the container.
No TV drop-offs, thanks.
I also had a point I wanted to make, which is that both of those things, the e-recycling and this, are two more environmentally focused things that
True
were
that.
not in our manager's report, but could have been.
Sorry, I definitely should have included them because Megan and I are very proud of these programs. Megan started the larger e-shred event 6 years ago. And the drop-off box, like a lot of those have been your initiatives. And PAR is an awesome vendor, or PAR, I might be saying it wrong. They work with people who have been recently released from incarceration and give them job training skills to then apply in their real lives and go work in related fields. So it's like a double, good for the environment, good for society.
Thank you. Any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Back to you, Sandra.
The last item in Commissioner Mull's section is just an approval for a payment for the road program, the first payment of $97,000, and that'll be for next week via a roll call vote.
Andrew, while we're on the section, I just wanted to piggyback on what Commissioner Hall had mentioned about the carnival. Despite the rain on Thursday and the questionable forecast, I have to say that from someone who attended the carnival with my daughter, we had an incredible time, and I have to say it was an incredible success. And she did a great job of listing the various departments that were involved. But I also want to thank the volunteers that took the time to really make this, a special effort and something that we can be proud of as a township. Particularly Sarah Priebus and her team at Parks and Rec. Without her and Leah and all the departments pulling in the right direction, this thing wouldn't be the success that it is every single year. And that's something that I know I could speak on behalf of my kids. We look forward to it as a family every year. So thank you to everybody involved, particularly the volunteers and all the department heads. Thank you.
Greg, you brought a good point. We also, as staff, look forward to it every year. It's like you slightly get like, oh gosh, I have to work the whole weekend, but also it is a really good, like, sort of reinforces our UGT family that everyone works. Like Dave volunteered, you got rained out, but really we have like our family members volunteer. It really is a nice family community event.
And a big, huge thank you to Sarah's team for Thursday night, because they helped all the vendors, they pitched in and helped all the vendors take all their stuff down because it started pouring down rain, but they did it in the rain, putting all their vendors and everything away. So special shout out for that unfortunate.
Not just Sarah's team, there's a couple ladies over here that helped with that unloading in the pouring rain, as well as the Public Works Department. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure everyone got the praise on that one.
Team UGT.
Yeah. Culture of Excellence, Carnival, put it on the list. Okay, moving on to wastewater treatment. We have, I don't think there's any decision items here. We have approval for a payment for the Merck pump station upgrades, which everyone should be familiar with at this point. Approval of a quote to repair sewer laterals in the amount of $83,000. And approval of the design for a preliminary plan for solids handling improvement project by Barton and LaJudas in the amount of $306,000. This is actually an item I touched in earlier in my manager's report about sludge handling. So I could get very detailed on this, but basically we want thick sludge, not thin, watery sludge. We want thick sludge. And the reason for that is if our sludge contains a lot of water, we're paying to treat it with chemicals, we're paying to treat it as it goes through the system, and most importantly, we're paying to truck it away. So we're looking, it's been a goal of Dan Ferris and even before Dan's time for us to sort of improve our technology at the plant for sludge and solids handling. This is just for design funding. The actual project will get added to the capital improvement plan and be quite probably costly, but it also has a wonderful ROI, which we will explore through this process with the engineer. And just as like a frame of reference, we spend between $500,000 and $600,000 a year hauling sludge places to dispose of it. So we're trying to reduce that operational cost. There will also be the open and paid invoices, and that is everything I have to review.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This meeting is adjourned.